Welcome back to another Shield lesson. This one is called the Yes and No Truth Shield. Part of the Defender course of Shields and brought to you by the Defender Board of Directors and Advisor to Men. Now let's proceed. Let us examine the sacred power of no and why your yes is worthless without it. You see, yes is a beautiful word. It's the word of union, of risk, of creation. It's how we say I do, how we take a leap, how we trust again after heartbreak. Yes is movement. It pushes life forward. But if yes is the gas pedal, then no is the brakes. And no is the more important word, because without no, every yes becomes meaningless. Why we say yes too easily. Most people think yes is the polite, cooperative answer. They're taught that good people, especially good boys and girls, say yes. Yes to teachers, yes to parents, yes to coaches, yes to bosses, yes even when you mean no. But here's the problem. When you can't say no, your yes is devalued. It becomes hollow, expected, routine, taken for granted. This is especially dangerous for people with a sensitive temperament, those who feel the energy in a room, who track how others are reacting, and who have learned to stay safe by keeping everyone happy. Many of these people end up developing what psychology calls vulnerable narcissism, a survival-based personality that uses self-effacement, emotional withdrawal, and guilt-based tactics to feel secure. They seem agreeable, kind, flexible, but deep down they're confused. They're in pain. They don't feel free because they've never learned to say no. How the trouble begins, the war between the two selves. Every child is born with a master self, a core identity marked by curiosity, instinct, emotion, and an intuitive sense of justice. Paul Bloom in Just Babies likes to tell of children faced with three puppets in a puppet theater. Puppet in the middle rolls a ball to the puppet on the right, and the puppet on the right rolls it right back. Then the puppet in the middle rolls the ball to the puppet on the left, and the puppet on the left fucks off with the ball. Down comes the curtain. The puppet on the right and the puppet on the left are placed in front of the children, with a cookie in front of each one. The children are invited to go and take a single cookie from the puppet of their choice. One cookie, one puppet. Which puppet do you think the children take a cookie from? Right or left? Think about your answer for a moment. Bloom found that more than 80% of the time the children took a cookie from the puppet who had absconded with the ball. Surprised? In Just Babies, the book chapter opens with Bloom describing how one kid goes over and smacks the bad puppet and takes the cookie. Bloom said these one-year-olds were born with an innate understanding of justice, a rudimentary empathy, and a sense of right and wrong. You see, children know if they're being fucked over by their caregivers. They know if their imaginative and creative, intuitive, curious, and exploratory self is stifled by those in charge. And sure enough, very quickly, relational beings around the child uses language to begin installing a secondary operating system, the servant self. This version is socially programmable, trained to conform, perform, and avoid disapproval. It's shaped by threats, praise, conditioning, carrot and stick, reward and punishment parenting. Humans are belonging animals. It is ostracism that is the great scourge of mankind. Abandonment in the not-too-distant past meant a sure death. The child learns, if I say no, I lose connection. If I displease you, I lose love. So the child adapts. They comply. They mute themselves. They smile even when something feels wrong. And slowly, but surely, their yes becomes the only safe answer. The no goes underground, and with it, their sense of sovereignty. Yes without no is like a diamond without scarcity. Think about this. Why are diamonds considered so valuable? They're not especially rare. In fact, there are vast quantities of diamonds in the world. But back in the early 20th century, a single company, De Beers, cornered the market. They tightly controlled supply, hoarded inventory, and released only a trickle at a time. Then, in one of the most successful ad campaigns in history, they declared, "A diamond is forever, and diamonds are a girl's best friend." The message worked because the supply was limited. Scarcity equals value. And so it is with your yes. If you say yes constantly to work, to people-pleasing, to guilt, to appeasement, your yes becomes cheap. It becomes costume jewelry. No weight, no meaning. But if you learn to say no cleanly, without hostility, without apology, then your yes regains its value. Like a diamond pulled from a vault, it means something. So when you're tempted to say yes out of habit, remember, De Beers didn't flood the world with diamonds. They withheld them. And that made them priceless. When your yes is rare and deliberate, it becomes a diamond. When it's constant and compulsive, it becomes gravel. Here's an anecdote, the tale of two men. Let me tell you about two men I once knew. The first, we'll just call him Adam. Adam was the quintessential nice guy, never wanted to rock the boat, always agreed with everyone, his boss, his partner, even random people in line at the coffee shop. If you asked him how he was doing, he'd say, fine, even when his life was falling apart. He hated conflict. In meetings, he nodded politely at bad ideas. When asked to take on more work, he said yes every time. He didn't want to disappoint. Over time, Adam burnt out. He was passed over for promotions because he lacked edge. His marriage soured because his wife didn't feel safe with a man who wouldn't take a stand. And inside, he was furious at others, at the world, and mostly at himself. Now the second man, let's call him James. James was polite, but not a pushover. If he disagreed, he said so, calmly, clearly. If he didn't have capacity for something, he said, I'm not available for that. He didn't explain. He didn't over-apologize. He was kind but clear. James was respected. He got better clients. His team followed his leadership. His wife admired his decisiveness, even when they didn't agree. People trusted James because when he said yes, they knew he meant it. Here's the kicker. James made more money. Statistically, people who are less agreeable earn more over time, are promoted more often, and are rated as more effective leaders. Why? Because clarity creates respect, and respect precedes trust. The physical and spiritual cost of saying yes too often. When you chronically override your internal no, your body keeps score. Doctors estimate that over 50% of visits to primary care physicians have no medical cause. People come in with gastrointestinal issues, migraines, muscle tension, autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, panic attacks. In many cases, the body is saying no because the person never could. They've lost the ability to regulate the stress of chronic self-betrayal. This isn't just psychological, it's biological. Saying yes when you mean no triggers internal fragmentation, and it slowly erodes your spirit. What this means for your kids. I have 2 children. I remember when my daughter was 10. She was strong-willed, dressed herself, insisted on doing things her own way. She and her mother butted heads sometimes, but me, I wasn't worried. That fire, it'll serve her well. Then there's my son. He was 8 at the time. Thoughtful, highly verbal, cooperative. He's Mama's little bear, and he's got a lot of me in him. I'm watching him closely. Because while compliance looks like good behavior, it can mask a deep fear of disapproval. And if he loses his no early, he'll live as a polite prisoner later on. The practice. Reclaim your no. Here's your exercise. This week, ask yourself these questions. Write your answers down. Reflect a little on your yeses and your nos. Where do I typically have a hard time saying no? How does that impact my body and my emotions? What does this do to my relationships? Where this week did I fail to say no? What thought did I use to justify it? Where did I learn this rule to live by? Who do I have to become to update that part of me? What circumstance in my life is begging for a no? How is not saying no stopping a yes? Who would I be if I used yes and no on my own terms? Here's some final words. A man who can say no is a man who can be trusted. If you say yes all the time, your word means nothing. People won't respect you. Your kids won't model you. Your woman won't trust you. And you'll look in the mirror and not believe a damn thing you say. Ouch! Why not practice saying no while looking at your reflection until it becomes normal, easy? But when your yes is rare and your no is full, your life starts to align. You stand straighter. You sleep better. You lead more clearly. So say it with me. No, that's a full sentence. And it might just save your soul. Thanks for listening. I'm looking forward to seeing you join the Defender boards. We'll see you in the next Shield. True and free.